So guys, today marks a very special day for this channel and its future growth, as I am happy to say that today features my very first access to a review copy of, well, anything. And thanks to the great folks over at VR Interactive, I have been able to spend the past few days jumping into the world of a game that I have been very excited about, Tropico VR, and I most definitely have a few thoughts. Welcome to the simulation inside the simulation. I am Tooodamngolden, your VR Voyager, and today we'll be taking a look at Tropico VR, and I'll be letting you know if you should play, buy today, or stay away from this one. So longtime fans of the Tropico franchise will be all too familiar with this Cold War era Caribbean dictator city building simulator, and right off the bat, let me be proud to announce that this is a full-scale port of the fan-beloved Tropico 4. Before even diving into the game, players will have the option of selecting from a wide variety of real-life historical figures such as Fidel Castro, Papa Doc, or the always controversial Che Guevara to try and build up a tiny fledgling Caribbean island. Or you can do like I did and of course elect to use your own custom avatar, because I'm not going to take the opportunity to create my own personalized dictator. If you are a fan of Civilization like myself, you will instantly recognize a few of the same elements involved in Tropico, like establishing sources of food via farms, fishermen's wharfs and ranches, developing religions via the construction of churches and cathedrals, and honestly it really does feel like a Civilization meets SimCity hybrid, but instead of focusing on the wide-scale expansion of entire nations and countries and continents and things of that nature, you get a more intimate micromanaging approach to one singular nation in its own individual city hubs or villages, or however you actually decide to lay out your island. And seriously guys, I cannot overstate just how much there is to do in Tropico VR, from declaring martial law, declaring presidential edicts to slash taxes or provide your citizens free housing, or if you want to go the other way, embezzling money from your poor underserved Tropicans. Tropico VR really is a game that lets you choose how to run your nation your way, whether it be a democratic society driven by liberty and economics or a full-on military junta style government. The choice really does rest in your hands to make it happen. So in my experience, the controls in this one took about an hour to really get used to. You may pick it up a little quicker, may pick it up a little slower, but once you do, they do work remarkably well, as placing roads, housing, and facilities is a simple snap and turn system. And while we're pointing things out, I also wanted to point out that included in this one, for people who may get motion sick, they did institute a quick toggle function and go between smooth and teleportation controls and move turning and snap turning. So I did want to point this out because it does make Tropico VR all the more accessible without even having to fight through menus or anything like that to get there. So the user interface is one of the better ones I've seen in VR, especially for a game of this nature, and while it doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means guys, it strikes a nice balance between being both functional and visible, so shout out to the dev team for that, with most player actions taking place either via a simple point-click expand mechanic or via an action wheel that players will be able to bring up by pressing either of the trigger buttons on the back of the controller, and they work pretty well and avoid some of the other clunkiness that we oftentimes see with VR menus, and is pretty damn responsive as well. So a couple of nice touches that really tickled my micromanaging heart to pieces were the ability to rename each individual citizen to whatever you so choose, as well as the balancing act that you must play as El Presidente with regard to managing your foreign relationships with the US, Europe, Middle East, China, and of course the USSR during the frantic heyday of this Cold War era. There is truthfully so much to do in this game, folks, from mining oils and precious metals, doing your best to minimize the effects of natural disasters, suppressing rebellions, engaging in the stock market, and so much more. And a big kudos to VR Interactive for bringing the full, complete Tropico experience to VR, as it definitely was a title that I did not know that I so desperately needed. But with all the good that I've mentioned up to this point, there are a few missteps that I would like to point out with Tropico VR, and first and foremost are the graphics, folks, as there is no other way to put it other than just by saying that this game won't be winning any beauty pageants soon, as the blurry character model textures and the low draw distances do honestly detract a bit from the overall immersion to be had, which is a bit of a shame because I fondly remember Tropico 4 actually looking pretty sharp back in the day, and even by comparison to his 2011 counterpart, there clearly were several concessions made to ensure that this title runs as smooth as possible. And my biggest gripe with this game, the poor voice acting, which I know is so bad and cheesy at times, and it's on purpose.
Like garbage dumps, Presidente. They're smelly and gross and very unnatural. But there is something I dislike even more.
Presidente, please accept my congratulations on the good work you have done on St. Clara.
Being such a great country is a hassle, I can tell you. That is why we decided we want something in return. We are imposing a freedom tax.
For the most part, and I know it was intentional, right? But to me, it takes away from the overall experience, which sucks if I'm being honest, because the score in this one is absolutely fire, and I'd like to have seen more effort put into the voice acting, because I do believe there is a better way of both maintaining the intentional cheese while simultaneously having more believable characters, as outlandishly as they wanted to be. They just could have been acted better. But again, this isn't game breaking in any way at all. Now, one thing I will say is that this may not be the game for everyone, and if you are new to this particular genre of gaming, then there definitely will be a steep learning curve. But Tropico is 100% a buy today title to me, scoring a solid 8 out of 10, and here's to hoping that a Quest 3 graphics update will soon be on the way, as Tropico VR does a great job of bringing this PC and console hit to the VR medium in a way that just does feel right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Big thanks to Pharaoh Interactive for letting me get my hands on this one a bit early, and please remember, if you enjoyed today's video and want to see more VR content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, folks. As always, I am Tooodamngolden, your VR Voyager, and thanks for joining me in the simulation inside the simulation.